very invest. What Venezuela is about to do to the currency down there.
Stop using it because it's not worth anything.
Yeah, they're about to basically reset it. There was a story out today that they're going to remove 6 zeros and reissue the denomination. You got any thoughts on that?
I don't even know what you just said to me. So, if you had a $1 bill, it's now going to be a $1,000 bill, or it's the other way that they have $1,000 bills that will now. So is it like a reverse stock split or like a normal stock split?
It's like a new issuance of a brand new currency. Basically, they're going to go and take 6 figures off of what they had on debt and now play, brand new money issuing game down there in Venezuela. So
in other words, they're defaulting on whatever debt they owe and just issuing a new currency.
That's correct.
And firstly, didn't some of the Wall Street banks actually start issuing loans to Venezuela, or was that a different, because they love those high yield loans. I don't remember if it was Venezuela or another South American country that's going under. No, here's the creepy part about Venezuela is it's the modern day story about a socialist country, and look at the ramifications. I think I've heard stories of people eating rats and empty stores. And I'm not that well versed in history, but from what I understand, they were a pretty rich oil country. Somebody made the socialist pitch of, hey, we can take from these wealthy people and help out the poor people. And now they went from being a pretty decent country to the most backwards place, or not the most backwards place, but a very backwards and uncomfortable place to live. And the fact that people in our country will still go, hey, socialism sounds like a good idea, showcases just the stupidity of mankind. Like, it's right there. Venezuela's right there. It's a pretty good example of why you should not listen to people when they preach socialism. So it's incredible to me that it's like, I don't know. It's like, we're not even talking about something from the past. It's right there. You can go look at it. Like, the news could be down there every single day. Like the country that you and I grew up in. How old are you, dude?
41. Yeah.
41. Okay. So I'm 33. There's a gap, but I still remember being in school and like the way they talked about capitalism in America and socialism sucks and fuck yeah, incentive structures, personal responsibility. There's a whole value structure that just doesn't exist in the country anymore. The biggest one is not being a tattletale and don't whining. Like, we grew up as like, you know what I mean? That was a value that we grew up with. Like, you don't fucking complain to the teacher. Like, you don't tell on your friends. Stones,
like that whole damn thing. And now everything's a fucking microaggression and everything else. It's crazy.
It's so weird that just, and by the way, those values like cross, like it's not race related. It's not religion related. You know what I mean? Like, you and I grew up very different lifestyles. Those were just like American values that I actually think were good and no longer exist. But the school I grew up in, the culture I grew up in, there probably would have gone, hey, look at what's going on in Venezuela. This is why it's so dangerous. It actually, I mean, that could make for an interesting news segment literally every night of yay capitalism. Look at what happens with this other socialism thing. I know I rant a lot when Dave doesn't come.
Crazy stories out of socialist countries could absolutely fill a feed every day, probably every hour in socialist countries if you knew where you were looking.
Here's the difference. We don't want to go to war with socialist countries anymore. So I guess that was still kind of residual of Vietnam and saying, hey, there's going to be a domino theory and we have to contain this. Seemingly that's not the enemy anymore. So I guess they don't need it's not in line with the war machine's propaganda. So I guess that's kind of why it's no longer taught. I would guess. I'm kind of pulling that out of my ass.
And here's another thing. When I look at this damn murder cult that's comprised of banks and government corporations and their unholy alliance. You kind of look at Venezuela, and what you said is these banks love high yields, and so the idea just kind of crossed through my mind is like maybe this was an intentional like almost takeover of Venezuela, where they'll socialize it, crash their currency, and then when it's easy to reinvest into a brand new currency, maybe what we do is we invest, then buy up a whole bunch of the capital in that country, and go after the oil and everything else by investing in it early. I mean, I know it's kind of conspiratorial, but boy, I mean, for these guys not to think, in big picture that way, I mean, they make billions of dollars for a reason.
Could be. I remember listening to some value investor actually talking about that, like city property, and I think it was Venezuela. He was like, you might lose, but like if Venezuela turns around, the return on investment like would be crazy. So
Right.
could be. I don't know. I'm not in that space anymore. I traded in my Jew ruined country cards for this liberty agenda.